Be happy. Be happy.
Be happy. Be happy, mommy.
Come on, keep your chill. Enjoy this time.
Smile.
Smile, smile, my darling.
Honey, you gotta count your blessings.
Welcome to Creative Mamas Unplugged. We are your hosts. I'm Cherice Barton.
And I'm Shelly Hutchinson. Creative Mamas Unplugged is a podcast where we navigate the hell out of being a creative mom with humor and heart.
We will have honest conversations,
Hear wise words from fellow badass mamas,
and share hilarious stories around motherhood for some much-needed comic relief. Listen, motherhood is the most creative, most difficult job in the world. You are not alone, and you deserve to be happy. Hey, creative mamas. Shelly and I are so thrilled to have the incredible Lakey Wolff with us today. Lakey is founder of Lakey Wolff and Company with 14 years at CESD Talent Agency, 30 years in the entertainment industry. Lakey specializes in developing artists across theater, film, TV, dance. She's also a talent manager, business owner, executive board member of Springboard Dance, a mom of 2 kids, ages 10 and 7. And on top of that, she's an executive board member at her kids' school. Lakey is one of the most giving, inspiring moms we know. She's a mother figure to so many in the industry, and we are so excited. Hi.
Hi, I've been asked to do these before in various forms over the years, and my answer is always no, thank you.
Is
But
that right? Are
yeah,
we privileged to get this? Is it the
I
topic
just-
that got you?
yeah, and the both of you, and yeah.
Look at us.
thank
Look at us. Here we are.
So Shelly and I started, we started this podcast. It started developing during the pandemic when we were all, as moms, feeling isolated. And then it continued from there because we were having these conversations, and it just gave us so much support talking to each other, and it became much greater. And we decided that there was a real need for a community amongst moms. And initially we started thinking about, creatives who are working in the industry and who are moms, and how we managed to make it work. And it just grew from there because, we always say being a mom is the most creative job in the world.
I mean, the other thing about this podcast too is that like the three of us we each have 2 kids, right? Your kids are 10 and 7, right?
Mhm.
Both boys, right?
Yep.
And we had our kids, we had a career and then we had kids. And now we still have careers, right? That's a big part of like why we wanted to start this, because there's so many of us like that didn't graduate from college and then get married and have kids. Like we had like a full life before we had our kids. What has that been like for you entering like mommyhood in the last decade while you're continuing to kill it at work? I mean, you're doing so many amazing things.
It's interesting because when I started in this industry, it was May 20th, 2002. And it was at a time where not very many, I was an agent at that time. I had no examples of women that had children at my office at that time. The male owner had children. And so it was very interesting. It was also at a time where there was no paid maternity leave at all.
Wow.
And so you got up to 12 weeks. You got to keep your job, basically. You would return to your job at that same level. So they would hold your position, but no paid time off. And so that shifted a lot. I remember there were a few of us that were pregnant at the same time and navigating, going back to work, having a child, and then going back. I went back to work 6 weeks later after. And my birth story, the first time it was intense. We were discharged. We were rushed in the emergency room 2 days later with the whole situation. He turned out to be healthy, knock on wood. But, just talk about being creative. Like, I think as parents, we're the quintessential problem solvers, and you have to be fast and you have to prioritize and make decisions and do research and navigate so many different things. But I didn't have really anybody to look up to, that had been through that. And I think for me, it just kind of took a while to trust the people around me, that, I had hired someone who I basically said, teach me how to do this, and the doctors, and then eventually I think you start to find your people, and you become the people for other people as well, which is, I think, what really taught us during COVID. Like, you have to really find your village and lift each other up and help each other sort of navigate. But yeah, it was a very different time when I first started. And so that was a major shift for me. And going back and returning to the workplace was really interesting. And nursing, and pumping and educating the office on what that would look like. But then there were many people around my same time and doing it too. And so there was something really beautiful and comforting. And now when I deal with people on the industry side, like having their second kids, and Broadway choreographers with children, female, and directors with children, I think now it's so different, and it's so important to just respect each other and help each other and support each other and empower each other and share information. I think is such an important part in all of this too. What worked for you, what worked for me, and the places that are, I hate to use the word like kid friendly, but it's true, that are just safer places to bring children into certain environments, and to not apologize for it.
That's the big one. That's the big one. And I remember also feeling that that's such a great thing to highlight, because when you are navigating this kind of like on your own, because like you said, like it really wasn't like the norm, and you were kind of like leading that way with some other people that you were working with. I remember feeling like the need to apologize for my kids crushing goldfish all over your studio floor, when like I should rightfully so, but I was apologizing for the wrong reasons. Not like, I'm sorry my kid got shit on your floor, apologizing because I'm sorry that I have to bring my kids because I know this is kind of a distraction. Versus
or cancel things.
Or can't.
I'm not sorry that I can't be, like, my child is sick, so you have to I choose to reprioritize my life because my child is sick. And so I'm leaving work now. I'm gone. I'm out, and that's just what it's going to be. And I think that was one of the moments for me when I decided, like, where I was working at that time, that lifestyle really didn't work for me unless I was able to spend like one day a week from home at that time, is what I was really trying to fight for. But
yeah.
Can I ask a question? You founded your own company. Did that have anything to do with being a mom, or was that more of a professional decision?
Yeah. Yes. For me, it was, I think, when I returned to work after having my first child, I just remember pumping, just my light for me, my choices. I was trying to nurse as long as I could because my baby was sick. Like, he was on antibiotics at 2 days old. And I went back to work soon because I had, a full-time nanny to pay for and all of those things. And so, yeah. And then I just remember he got so sick one day, and he ended up with flu A, flu B, hand, foot, like all the things. We didn't know what it was. And then like a rash, a rash, 105 fever. My nanny at that time called me, and I called the pediatrician. Pediatrician said, come right in. I literally remember leaving the office into the emergency room to be fully admitted. And just the amount of phone calls I think I received during that time, like, we didn't know where you went. I said, all of those things that go with that. And just that didn't feel right for me, and not being able to just be like fully present in that moment. And so very early on, pregnant with my second child, I really was requesting and fighting to work 1 day a week from home, and what that would look like. And when that didn't work out, I just thought there's got to be something different. And so, in trying to find a place that I could work in a different way, I just created it myself. It didn't really exist. And I thought, well, I can do this. Like, I've been around long enough to know how to do my job, and I can create my own company and do things my own way, in a sense, with people that want to do it with me. And that's, I did literally started over. I remember, leaving my job. It was September 22nd, 2016. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning after a very long conversation with my boss at that time, and trying to figure out what I wanted my life to look like. And I knew what I didn't want it to look like. I didn't really know at that time and that moment, but I knew what I loved to do. And I loved helping people. I loved helping artists. I loved surrounding myself with creative beings. And yeah, I was very early pregnant. And I just remember thinking, like, I'm not doing this again the same way. There has to be a different way. And that lended itself to another set of things. I given birth, the baby wouldn't I wasn't going to pump, I was going to nurse. And so that baby went everywhere with me. Or I would plan meetings or workshops or around my nursing schedule, see a show, go to the first half of the show, intermission, in a car, home, nurse again. And then I would see that same show, the second half, another time. You make it work.
Bravo to you. Wow. For having the courage to do that. I think that it's very inspiring because, many don't have the courage to do that. And good for you for making yourself a priority and your work a priority, because we talk about that so much, right, Shelly? We talk about how our work is such a huge part of us, and our creativity and the women that we were prior to being moms, and we love being moms, but, we want to be able to encompass all of these different parts of us. And it's figuring out how to do that and how do we make that work so we don't lose a part of ourselves. So bravo to you for doing that.
Yeah, it's so tricky, because I think when you give birth or when you're a parent, you focus on this being, you just give birth and you focus on this other being. And that becomes the priority. And that's, I think, to take a moment to just realize, like, this is not forever. And it's okay. And everything changes, but you want it to change, right? Your body changes, your schedule changes, your sleep changes. And it's a period in time. And as long as you remember that you are your best self if you take care of yourself, and you'll be a better parent and a better partner and a better human if you also take care of yourself. And that self-care that people talk about, that looks different on everybody. I mean, self-care, what does that even mean? Does it mean I'm going to get my hair done weekly? Am I going to get a manicure, pedicure? Like, self-care for me is just waking up in the morning before my kids get up, and I have a cup of coffee and it's quiet. Or I take time and I go for a walk or sit in a bath, like all of those things, that just time for yourself and doing whatever it is that you enjoy doing and making the time. And I didn't get that time the way I think I would have wanted that time to happen earlier on because of my priorities. They're just different. I made choices. My baby was a certain way and no bottles for that baby. And so I made it work. Right. And it doesn't last forever.
I mean, when we talk about like self-care time, I feel like it feels like so overwhelming, like self-care. I always just envision like a spa day, or Sharon and I always talk about this, like sometimes our self-care is like sitting in the car for 15 minutes. We love a car time. We love a car space, like your morning coffees. It doesn't have to be a 6-hour day of self-care. It can be 20 minutes in the day. And sometimes that does the trick, especially in the morning before everyone wakes up and comes down. You got to be ready for them. You got to be ready for whoever's waking up in whatever mood, right? Like, yeah.
And I think also when you do what you love, like for me, I don't have a lot of work boundaries. Some people are like, that's it, the phone's going off at a certain time. I don't have those kind of boundaries, but I love what I do. And so when you love the work, it just becomes a part of your life and part of your day. And it should be a balanced day in a given period of time where you get to do all of those things. I don't do all of the things in one day or all of the things at one time. Usually in a week, you have to make time for everything. And that takes a lot of planning often, and that takes patience. And you have to, I think, have the ability to just be flexible. Kids and the work that we do, things can change in a second. One phone call from school and my whole day, everything shifts and changes. And I'm not going to apologize for that either. So I think with everything in my life, I don't apologize for it. It's just part of life.
It's what you get. Do you feel
Yeah.
like our industry has prepared you? Because this is kind of like an obvious question. I know I feel this way. Sure, I imagine you do too. Our industry has prepared you for being a mom in the sense that like you have to be flexible. Anything can change at any moment. Like you do your homework until you don't do your homework to prepare for things because you know things are going to change anyway. Do you feel like the work that you've done in your life prior to kids has prepared you for this kind of life now, being a mom and working?
Oh, absolutely. And I think what I've also learned is it's okay to say no to things. It's okay to say no. I don't have to say yes to everything. You're going to be, thrown in so many different directions, and I don't need to feel badly about it either. I can respectfully decline an invitation. I can just say no to being a chaperone on a field trip. Whereas in the beginning, I wanted to be available and present for every moment. And it's okay to just, I'm not available. I'm not attending unless you need me to. But I'm sure there's another parent that can say yes. And I think we're just in our business very used to, we say yes more
Grabbing
times.
it. Yeah, like whatever comes around, you don't want to miss it. You want to grab it and you want to take it. Yeah.
Right.
So can we talk really quickly about your summer office? Because I don't
Yes.
know, listeners, if you know Lakey and her summer, you will just freak out about the summer office. This is how amazing Lakey is. Tell us about your summer
It's
office.
so good. So I will say this was a result of COVID. So I'll backtrack because there's a story behind it. So my now almost 7-year-old wouldn't take a bottle. Very, very my mommy around me. And so finally we get that daycare spot. Oh my goodness. We get a full-time daycare spot. This is amazing. We take the daycare spot. And then I will say maybe like a week into daycare, COVID happens. And so we are home. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to be able to do things again. I'm going to get me back. And COVID happens and the playgrounds are closed and we're doing homeschool at home. And I met a woman at the playgrounds and she called me. We're in a group message. We call it our COVID crew, right? She says, I'm at a beach club on Long Island and they have a lot of cancellations. There's playgrounds. They have a spot open. Somebody take the spot. And without seeing it, I heard playgrounds and I heard beach. And we had just gotten a car and that was it. I called them. I gave my American Express over the phone. That was it. I put the kids in the car, my husband in the car. He's from New Jersey. We knew nothing of beach clubs. We drive out to Long Island and we rent this cabana at this beach club. And so this is now years later. And so it is a beach club. It's a cabana. The Wi-Fi is awesome. I have a desk there and I get to work and look at the ocean and there's nothing better. And bonus points, my children go to camp there. So in the morning, they will go and I will work from the beach. Clients can come. There's a pool. It's amazing. You don't even have to bring your stuff down to the beach. They have people that will do that, put an umbrella down. And then at the end of the day, someone brings the kids to the cabana.
Oh,
win-win.
That's dreamy. Like
It's
that's
dreamy. It's the dream.
I've
always said because we can work, look, in my business, we can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
Literally anywhere. And so why not do it from the beach?
Why not do it for the beach? Now, what does that look like? Because I know you guys are in New York City, right? So the kids don't get out of school until later. What does
June
that look
20.
like? June 20. So I know, which is ridiculous here. I don't know why they do it this way. But what does that look like with the kids? Like you go out there, you come back, does your after school day, what does that look like with you working when the kids get off at
So today I'm home.
Okay.
Usually they're at after school. If they go to after school on certain days they don't, they're there till 5. It's close to JFK. You could drive, spend the day, drive back, or somebody else will pick them up, not me. And that's okay. And then once, sometimes we'll say last year we rented a house out in that area, which is pretty close to the Rockaways, to not do the drive every day.
Amazing.
But it's
possible.
amazing. It's possible. Yeah. Yeah. And it works for me. I think I'm just at a place in my life where I want every moment. I want to enjoy my life every moment. I don't want to. I've spent years and years and years sitting in offices and in meetings, and I'm so grateful for that time because I'm now able to do what I do. And look, I'm a business owner. And so with COVID, I had to learn and navigate so many different things. And so being in those meetings definitely helped me navigate just the business aspect of owning a company. But now, yeah, I want to enjoy every second. I don't want to be indoors in New York City in the summertime. I want to be out. And instead of taking a lunch break, I want to jump in the pool and then jump out. And how awesome is that, right?
That is amazing. Yeah. Just being creative and creating your life the way you want it to look. We've talked a lot about women in midlife and hormones and menopause and all of the changes that happen. And naturally the challenges that we go through, but that at the same time, there's a shift that seems to happen where women in midlife start really looking at their lives again and really start making their quality of life a priority. And, after all of these years of nurturing, it's like we get to this point where we're like, wait a second, I'm an incredible woman. I can still nurture. I love my kids. I love my job, but I want to take ownership. So, menopause, hormones, how is that affecting your life? Do you feel it, or is that something that
I don't feel it the way my friends have started to feel it. I have clients that are younger, significantly younger than me, that have gone through it already, which is mind blowing for me. I'm 48. And so I notice physically certain changes in my body for sure. My hair all of a sudden is, curly for me, or, so those kinds of changes. But I will say not as specifically as I know other friends are feeling it. Hot flashes, moody. I think I'm just as moody as I've always been. But I start my day pretty positive, and a positive, like, ooh, today's a new day. And then for me, my energy levels start to go. And by 7-8 o'clock on a typical day, I'm done. I've run out of patience the way, and all of those things. I'm like, I'm done for the day. And then tomorrow's a new day. But I know, for at least in my circle of friends, that it's hitting them in a very different way.
Yeah.
I think I just know, we used to talk about like your biological clock ticking. I think as I get older, I'm turning 49 on July, and I just want to enjoy. I want to do the things that make me happy all the time, every day, every single day. Otherwise, what are we doing? What are we doing in this life? I start my day for myself. I get my kids to school. And then my second part of my day happens, where it's like, okay, I got them there. Okay, now what is my day? What does my day look like for me? And I literally take it day by day. Nope, not up to that. In 3 days, not up to that. I need to focus on just this one day and getting through that one day.
One day at a time, which is
Literally.
literally I'm one foot in front of the other, because it's hard to project. It's really hard to project. It's hard to pack. It's hard to, right? Like, it's hard to go, like, I don't know what I'm going to wear for a week when I go away. I'm not sure what the kids are going to need. I'm not sure what I'm doing on Friday, because I'm just trying to get through Monday right now. I'm just trying to keep present in that moment to moment, because as we know, anything can change. You get that phone call from school, like you said, which is hilarious, because that'll just spin your day right around. It'll flip it upside down, but that it's the truth. You got to pivot quickly. You're amazing at doing that. And I think that just comes with the territory, whether it's being sick or, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I've been really the past year doing exactly that, just focusing on the present, because there's so much anxiety that comes with what if, and there's so many things that are unpredictable. And I actually had a conversation yesterday with my kid's dad, and I had said Willow made it to the gymnastics team, and I went to the meeting, and they are talking about her schedule for this year, and then starting in January there's competition season, and so you're going to need to block off these weekends, but we won't be able to tell you the schedule until about 10 days before. So I mentioned this, and the reaction was, oh, no, 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 I don't feel comfortable with this. No, 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 no. Because our schedules are so unpredictable that it's scary to think, well, how the heck are we going to do this? But I stayed very calm and I said, you know what? We're going to take this one day at a time. Our child deserves to have this and really wants this. And I think that we'll figure it out. We'll be creative. We will figure it out. That's not till January. And I think it's a good way to be as a parent, really, to just trust that things are going to work out.
Yeah.
And problem solve and trust. I think I've now created, a group of friends, women, or men, even just a group of people where you're each other's support system. You figure it out. You just figure it out. I got a message this morning from my neighbor. Her hip is bothering her. She can't walk her kids to school. Can I walk them to school? Yeah, I'll walk them to school. Walk them to school. You somehow figure that out. But I think the thing in common is that we're all problem solvers. You have to be. There's not one parent or one human that does everything. It's just not possible.
Yeah, community is super important. We don't have, I don't know if you have family there. I don't have any family out here in terms of like having my parents or people that, my sister is here, but she and her husband have a really, really busy life. So I've had to develop a community of other moms and neighbors and people who can help out.
But you create the community. I create the community.
Yeah.
We do that as people and as networkers and problem solvers and just empathetic people. You just are that way. And so those people usually attract other people, and you find your people in that sense. And I think having children really, I didn't know most of my neighbors where we lived before until having kids, until becoming pregnant. And then people start to want to talk to you a little bit more. And then I was really big the second time around and just like, are you okay? What can I do? And just really just lovely people. And so I think we're just, it's in our nature as people to bring other people together and getting involved. Look, I get involved in my kids' school, and then you start to meet other people that are of similar mindsets and the doers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I'm one of the doers, and I enjoy that. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not really good at. But when I'm not really good at something, which is a lot of things, I know who's really good at those things. And I have no problem delegating. I'm really good at delegating.
Creative Mamas Unplugged is produced by Breatheasy Productions with music by Jeremy Jurin. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to give my mama 5 stars and keep coming back. Thanks to us kids, there are plenty of stories to tell. And you are not alone. Bye for now.